Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here to predict games in the SEC for Saturday, February the 18th. We go in order of tip-off, where we will start in Lexington, Kentucky, host Tennessee in a rematch of the Cats' upset of the Vols in Knoxville early in the season. This one, or earlier in the season, I should say. Noon Central tip-off on CBS. We don't have lines as we do this on Thursday morning. But what we do have are two things. We've got an average of Ken Pomeroy, Bart Torvik, ESPN's BPI, and Jeff Sagarin, and what they predict as the outcomes based on their computers. We also have a percentage of victory probability straight up for the home team. Jeff Sagarin does not offer that, but the other three do. So with that having been said, Kentucky a 4.9-point underdog in its own building to Tennessee with a 31% chance to win. Blake, these teams have sent up a lot of mixed signals lately, but both come into this game with some momentum. Kentucky having won a huge win in Starkville, and, of course, Tennessee having knocked off the number one team in the country in Alabama and Knoxville. Between that and the rematch element of this one, I think it's going to be fascinating and, in my mind, very hard to get a read on, but maybe you have a better one than I do.
I've watched the same league you have this season, so I don't know about that. Once again, so we say we're predicting games. We're using that term very loosely because, as I always say, if we were predicting games and we knew what was going to happen, I love you guys, but we probably wouldn't be doing this. We'd probably be racking up money in Vegas somewhere. But I wish we would have started with LSU and South Carolina because I would like to ease into that a little bit. But this one, yeah, I mean, it's very simple. Like, one question: who do you trust more here? Like, because both these teams kind of they reset your expectations on Wednesday. Tennessee all of a sudden gets the huge win, biggest win of the season against Alabama after losing 3 or 4, not playing well. Kentucky, just when it looks like they're done after a loss at Georgia, they go win at Mississippi State. And now I joked about, well, if you look at previous trends, that means Kentucky's going to at least win 2 in a row because that's kind of what they've done this season after losses, it seems. So, yeah, I don't have a great feel on this one. If we want to just use the reference point of the last time these two teams played, which was a month ago, Kentucky's backs was against the wall, had to have a win. This isn't the same scenario, but there are similarities where Kentucky still needs to win this one. They win this one, they're in the field as of then, as of Saturday, because this gives them a quad 1 win, which they've been needing. They got one at Mississippi State. Now if they can get another one against Tennessee, look back at the other matchup. Tennessee went 3-21 from 3, did not shoot the ball well, only got to the free throw line 10 times. Kentucky was not great offensively because they turned it over, I'm going to say, close to 20 times in that first game. But yet they got to the free throw line a little bit more. They out-rebounded Tennessee. That was something that I think is a key thing to keep an eye on here. They had 13 offensive rebounds, which led to some second-chance points. But Kentucky did the same thing a lot of teams do against Tennessee. They did not shoot the ball well. They were not very efficient offensively because you remember, I don't know what did Kentucky shoot in that game. It was like 33, 34%, something like that. And they still won the game. And so I guess starters, is Severe Wheeler playing? Is CJ Frederick playing? Like, those are, I think, important in a game like this. I know Kentucky won at Mississippi State without those guys, but that is something to factor in for Tennessee. It's the same thing, right? Josiah Jordan-James playing, is Julian Phillips playing? And I know, once again, you can say it's so fascinating because you can say the same thing for both teams. Well, they just won 2 significant games without, 2 players that are key rotation players. And so it makes the setup very fascinating here. And do I have a great feel of this? No. My guess is this is essentially a pick'em type game. I can't imagine this is a game that is any more than, 5 points either direction. just based on where these two teams are at. Man, I don't even know where I'm going here. Like, I don't know where I'm picking this one. I think.
Hey, I sympathize with you because look, Tennessee has won 4 games on the road, but it's been mostly against the bottom half of the league. And actually, Mississippi State was in the bottom half of the league, although it's, more probably appropriately described as an NCAA tournament bubble team. Kentucky has lost at home to South Carolina. Kentucky lost at home, to Arkansas a week ago. I mean, it's not like Rupp Arena has been airtight, and it's not like Tennessee has been foolproof on the road. Which, yeah. I mean, and look, I don't mean to disparage Tennessee with that latter comment. That's life in college basketball in the SEC. But if you're wanting all the information, I think that's important too.
Yep. I mean, look, this is your, again, it looks like if you just, from this perspective, I think that there are still reasons to buy into what Tennessee can do defensively, because they did it to Kentucky the first time, in a sense, right? Like, they forced turnovers. They held them down, but what happened? Tennessee just could not score the ball consistently enough. And they went 3 of 21 from 3, right? Like, that was the difference. Tennessee could not, and that's the game too. Let's all remember, Tennessee shot, I'm looking back at it now, they shot 20 of 36 from 2. So they shot like 56% from 2. But remember too, the ones they missed were like wide, like just layups. Like, they were missing layups in that game. And so it's like, if you play that out again, maybe you don't get the same looks or whatever, but I don't know. So, gosh, man, I don't know. I'm going to pick Tennessee here. I just think that, certainly watching how they defended against Alabama, you all of a sudden, the sparkle is back in the eyes, right? Like, it's, you're seeing Tennessee for the first time again. You're like, oh yeah, like they're something, right? They're all of a sudden look really good again from a defensive standpoint. They've got their mojo back on that side of the floor. And so I think I'll go with them here, but once again, there's not a lot of confidence for me in this pick, because I think Kentucky, we've seen them in this spot before, and it's not the same as last time where, program was done for after the South Carolina loss, because they've gotten a win now in between the Georgia game. But, it's that builds some confidence for them, and depending on who's on the floor, it makes it a lot more interesting. So maybe Kentucky just has Tennessee's number this season. Maybe that's the story we're talking about after the game. But I'm going to say that, if you play this series 10 times this season, the better thought is that these two teams split it. So since Kentucky got the first one, I guess I'll go with Tennessee to take the second one. But you can tell how confident I am, right? So,
well, I'm with you, but I could end up looking like an idiot for this. It wouldn't be the first time. I'll give you 3 or 4 reasons. The computers, we win against the computers in Knoxville on Wednesday night. Paid for that one. They said Tennessee was a 3-point favorite. Computers were right, even with a couple of starters out. Number 2, defense. We have talked about Kentucky's lapses on that end of the floor at times. I'll give you a team that basically does not have defensive lapses. It's Tennessee. And when it does, it's against teams that can generally bomb you with the 3, which Kentucky, you're not scared of Kentucky going 15 to 30 from 3. I mean, Kentucky has shot it pretty efficiently, but it's not a team that attempts a ton of them. I think, again, Kentucky's not been unbeatable in Rupp as it usually is. Again, Arkansas showed that a week ago. And then I think the last thing is, who do you trust to beat a good team? We talked about how Tennessee has beaten 3 teams that could wind up on the 1 seed line for the NCAA tournament. Kentucky has done what? One at Mississippi State. Well, Well,
I mean, let's be honest. Like, let's.
I put that one on a T for you, didn't I? Like,
Yeah.
I just blanked on that for a minute.
I mean,
But
your first point though is important too, because like, yes,
but other than
Tennessee,
that, Ms. Lincoln, I mean,
Tennessee has beaten good teams, but Kentucky's not like they're not top 5 Kentucky right now. So Tennessee will be beating a bubble team here. So let's keep that into mind too. And again, going back to my, rants on whenever that video was, Tennessee's also lost some games to teams that they probably shouldn't lose to. So I don't. That's again. This is why this game is what it is. It's like I wish we had started from the beginning. We said these are our SEC basketball previews. I wish we'd have never added the word predictions in, but everybody loves predictions because they can tell you you're wrong or reaffirm how great you are and that you're right. We get more of the first one than the second one, but because then we wouldn't have to make picks here. We could just preview the game and tell you we don't know what's going to happen, folks. On to the next one. But yeah, so this is a top 5 most difficult SEC game to predict this season. We didn't think the first one would be that way, right? Because we were like, how is Kentucky going to go to Tennessee and win? They may get blown out of this thing. But they changed our opinion. So I don't know, man. I'm not betting on this game because I don't want any part of it.
No, I'm not either. That was a little embarrassing, but we lick our.
So you're picking Kentucky, is what you're saying?
Okay. No, I'm picking Tennessee for all the reasons
I gave you a chance to switch
including the one that was screaming you shouldn't. But I'm going to ignore that.
All right.
And I'm gonna pick the Vols, and I'm gonna ride with that. Okay.
Now Tennessee's going to come out and shoot 15% from the floor and get beat by 20. So you know what happens.
Right. That's you're welcome, Tennessee. Also, at the same time, I have a feeling more eyeballs will be on the other game. South Carolina and LSU. LSU is a 9.7 point favorite with an 82% chance to win against South Carolina. But as you have heard us say over and over, South Carolina plays much better on the road than it does at home. Poor LSU can't figure out a way to beat anybody. I think if the line is close to 10, that is a throw bet on South Carolina to cover. Whether the Gamecocks win, I'm not sure. LSU's due to beat somebody at some point, aren't they? I mean, I keep saying that, but it hasn't happened since last calendar year. Carolina's also got that weird Gigi Smith thing going on where there seems to be a little tension between he and his coach, who's not playing him nearly as much after that Twitter outburst a couple weeks ago. If you ride with what's worked, yeah, you feel like Carolina can cover that point spread there. To win, I don't know. Probably, maybe. I don't know. 10 points is a lot. The computers are telling me that's a dumb pick, so I don't know.
Yeah, remember, I mean, we're really starting off great here with these two games. Look at a bunch of. Remember, I'm the one earlier in the week that made the hard stance that South Carolina is the 12th best team in the league instead of the 14th best team in the league, and they followed that up with a not great performance against Vanderbilt, but LSU followed it up with a close loss at Georgia. South Carolina plays better on the road, as you said, and the line probably is going to be in that 8 to 9 range. Boy, that feels high, but at the same time,
how can you pick LSU with that many points, given its complete ineptitude when it comes to scoring?
This is the total unleash frustration game for LSU, where they just come out and have everything go right because nothing's gone right in almost 2 months. And finally, you get some sort of, as we said, even at Georgia was not a relief based on, we thought the schedule relief was going to come after A&M, but that's when, Georgia beats Kentucky at home. You're like, well, cancel that one. Like, now things get tough again. This has got to be it. I'm picking LSU. I know, again, I made the statement for South Carolina earlier in the week. At the time, that was where we were going, but this is the one it's always been leading to, right? If LSU is going to win this game, if they're going to win another game this season, it has to be this one. And I think that they came close enough against Georgia that they were right there. Now, does that just completely deflate you? I don't know, but they gotta win this, right? Like LSU's got to win this game. So I will take the Tigers to get off the streak here. But if the road South Carolina shows up, as it showed up quite a bit, absolutely South Carolina can win the game. But this is like my head's already spinning just thinking about these first 2 games here, and we got 5 more to go. So
We just spent 5 minutes of analysis on South Carolina LSU. Where else are you going to get that?
yeah, which is why, that's why people are subscribing elsewhere, apparently, because
or unsubscribing.
yeah,
after that.
they're like, we know we're not going to get that anywhere else, so we're going to go subscribe to those places instead of this one.
Right.
Please don't do that. So,
okay, this one is not as interesting as it would have been before the injury. Also at noon, 3 at noon. What are we going to do here? Got to try to watch 2 at once. I guess South Carolina will be left out.
One of those is an obvious replay game. Again, I don't watch every one of them live. I do the replay, and I think I will prefer one over the other on the replay front. So,
having an audio issue here. I hope it doesn't come through on the broadcast. But anyway, yeah, Florida goes to Arkansas. Florida has lost Colin Castleton for this one and beyond. This one is going to be noon on ESPN2 in Fayetteville, Arkansas, a 6.8-point favorite according to computers with a 75% chance to win. I think those numbers are low because Florida without Colin Castleton is not going to be anywhere close to the same team.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas's got to win this game. These are now you're getting into must win territory, and I say that must win. By the way, I did a show with Ty Hudson the other day. Hog Barbecue will tell you this. I decided to dub a new trademark, and this isn't working out so well the past 2 games, but like I was fully ready to go all in on this trademark of must month. February is must month, but it's not worked out well. It's not worked out the past 2 games. So I don't know if we can exactly call it that, but it needs to be must month on Saturday because Arkansas's got to win this one. They got to beat Georgia. They got to beat Florida because then you're getting into tricky territory there if you lose one of those games. I think these are 2 must-win games coming up, both at Bud Walton. And yes, you would expect them to get this one against Florida. Without Castleton, I just feel like Florida's going to be trying to find its way offensively. And against a good defensive team like Arkansas, I mean, this is one where I can see Arkansas holding Florida under, pick your number. That's pretty low. Like, I think they can do it if they come out and defend. And again, what does Florida look like defensively without their best defensive player and the guy who can impact every shot that's taken inside the perimeter, basically? That's just a huge change. And so, yeah, I will take Arkansas on this one. And I think, again, one of the more fascinating storylines to watch is going to be Nick Smith and kind of, how he's worked into the rotation, how many minutes he plays. Because, again, that's where things start getting important and what they're going to look like here. My guess is Florida's going to try to make Arkansas shoot a lot outside, which every team should at this point. Because that's, I think, the best way to beat them. Try a few zone stuff. I mean, try some different stuff because I think that's their chance to do it. But I don't see how they do it without Colin Castleton. So yeah, Arkansas should be in line to snap this losing streak and bounce back. And the Must Bus needs to be rolling right along these next 2 games because these are both now the biggest games of the season for Arkansas because they are both must win.
Okay, I misspoke on tip-off. It's 1 Central. I wondered why the SEC would schedule 3 games at noon. It did not. I just can't read. So there you go. That one's at 1. That is you get a little window to watch that one by yourself before the 2:30 tip-off of Mississippi State and Ole Miss. State has to get this one. Ole Miss season kind of going nowhere, but the computers have liked Ole Miss more than we have. Ole Miss is really only a 2.9-point underdog, according to the computers, with a 38% chance to win. But the Rebels also playing without a key player. Mississippi State's better. They already played this one once. I would be lying off the top of my head if I could tell you I remember exactly how it went.
I do.
But in any case, okay, I'll let you take over from there. I think State gets this one.
The Jay Wright game is what this was. Remember, this was one of the
Oh, that's the only
fascinating
one they won in the middle of the dry spell.
the fascinating CBS game with Jay Wright calling the Mississippi State Ole Miss game was just I don't know, it was just weird, right? Because you're used to, for one, you're used to seeing him coaching. Two, it's like again the CBS game was that one, which at the time I guess was not, but it just didn't. I don't know. This is one of those kind of scheduling things that you have every now and then, I guess. But um, yeah, I'd be lying if I said I completely trust Mississippi State here. So because I think this is one of those games that look, Mississippi State is now in a position, as we said, where they got to go 4-1 in my opinion down the stretch. So they got to go 4-1, and they need to be the biggest Kentucky fan out there because they need Kentucky to keep winning. And I just it's a rivalry game. First one was a 10-point game. Neither team shot the ball very well. Mississippi State went 13 of 26 from the free throw line. So, but this Ole Miss team is just, I mean, it's just, I don't know what you say at this point, right? Like they don't match up well, I think, against this kind of team. And I think that's where, you're going to give Mississippi State the nod. But like I said, I don't know that I completely trust them, but I do think the rebounding edge is something to keep an eye on here. Just the way Mississippi State defends, and can Ole Miss get easy shots? I worry about that for this Ole Miss team. Other than second chance looks, I just think getting those easy shots inside the perimeter, because remember, both these teams I think they're the two worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. Ole Miss is 349th nationally, 29.4%. Mississippi State is 356th nationally, 28.6%. So this will not be a high scoring game. I'd be shocked if it is. Remember, the first one was 64-54. Sounds about right for this one, but I do think this will be a little bit closer than that because I still don't trust Mississippi State offensively. It's just, I know they've won some of these games, right? They won at Arkansas on the road, but then come back and lose to Kentucky. I think they're getting some things right on that side of the floor, but this is kind of that grinded out win that you're playing a bad team. Your mindset. I think Jans will have them ready, knowing what's at stake here, because they lose this one, I mean, they're essentially done if they lose this one. Because remember, it's not just that they have to go 4-1 the rest of the way. It's that at least two of those other wins are going to come against against South Carolina at Vanderbilt, which the at Vanderbilt one is getting better. They've also got at Missouri, home against A&M, so they can pick up some quad one wins, but they got to win this one. So surely they find a way to do it, but oh man, this one feels like a tricky one to me. But
on to the next one. That will be Georgia at Alabama. Don't see the need to spend a lot of time here. This is on the SEC Network at 5 Central. Alabama, a 20.7-point favorite with a 96% chance to win. And all I have to say about that one is it sounds about right.
are we sure about that? Because, are we sure about the Crimson Tide of Alabama?
Here it is. It's
no,
sarcastic.
Listen, I know people are talking about the rant, but listen, it was a good discussion. I'm glad
the rant was phenomenal. We unleashed your inner,
listen, there were multiple people or multiple reactions, which again, these came on Twitter. Okay. So let's always keep that as the reference. Twitter is not real life, as I've said many times. But I think I appreciate it because it did prompt a good discussion, because I think it is where sometimes we get lost just in the week to week, the game to game stuff. Like, you do have to take a little bit of a deep dive into some of these teams at times, especially the teams that you project to go the furthest, and try to find what is it that can cause them the most issues. And as we said, if it's not taking care of the ball like they did against a stellar Tennessee defensive team, if it's settling for maybe contested shots, fair points. But I think that they will be able to alleviate many issues against this Georgia team in this matchup. And, I think that, again, for Alabama, what's most interesting, right, is how they've responded after losses this season. UConn lost. They beat North Carolina in quadruple overtime. Gonzaga lost. They beat Jackson State by 20. Oklahoma lost. They beat Vanderbilt by 57. So they've responded well after they've lost games. That's the bigger point there. And so I would fully expect that to be the same thing here. Georgia, as we said, has now won 2 in a row, beat Kentucky and LSU, but this is not a team that has played well on the road at all. Look at their last 4 SEC road games: lost by 14 at Kentucky, 29 at Tennessee, 21 at Auburn, 25 at A&M. Now they play the number 1 team in the league. So if you're wondering why this line's set at 20, that's one of the reasons. Georgia has been bad on the road. And, they did beat Ole Miss, I guess, but that's, again, a different level than the others. So, yeah, I think this is the bounce back game for Alabama. But like I said, I think what you want to look at here is this isn't going to be like playing Tennessee from a defensive standpoint. But, it's Alabama's mindset, how they respond. Do they value the ball a little bit more? Because that's something we didn't really talk about a lot in that game. Tennessee played some good defense, but Alabama also had just some careless turnovers because they were like, you know what? I don't want to sit here and just get rid of the ball. Like, let me just get rid of the ball because this guy's all up in my face. They can't have those kind, against, like we said, moving forward. They got to take care of the ball a little bit better. And I think those are the things you're looking for if you're Nate Oates here is just our response. Can we get back kind of into the rhythm of our offense, which I know some people are not fans of, and that's fine. But, can we get back to getting better shots? Can we keep defending at a high level, still haven't allowed more than 69 points in an SEC game? Yeah, they should beat Georgia, but this is more about mindset, I think, and seeing how they respond mentally from getting beat up pretty good at Tennessee. So,
Okay, we go from what the computers had far and away as the biggest blowout to the game the computers far and away have as the closest thing to a toss-up. Missouri's a 0.1 point favorite. Get this, with a 49% chance to win. Those don't jive, but you have one computer that's in one of those and not the other. Well, let me give you the predictions based on service as of Thursday morning. Missouri, a 1 point favorite on Ken Pomeroy. A&M, a 0.2 point favorite on Bart Torvik. A&M, a 1 point favorite even on BPI. And Missouri, a half-point favorite, according to Jeff Sagarin. Ken Pomeroy has Missouri a 52% chance to win. Bart Torvik has Missouri at 46, and BPI has Missouri at 46% chance to win. So that's how we arrived at the numbers. That's probably more than you wanted, but can't take it back now. Anyway, I tend to trust Missouri at home, Blake, even coming off a clunker.
Well, that's interesting. That's all I got for this game. I look at this game and, we've seen A&M defensively, right? Like when they turn it up defensively, they are hard to handle. And like we've seen them do that at, I'm trying to think of the games I'm thinking of, like Auburn, right? On the road at Auburn. That was one that
I'm gonna call you out on this right now. You were in the process of sandbagging your client, Dennis Gates.
What?
I can feel it.
You have no idea where I'm going here.
That's what you do.
You have no idea where I'm going.
Okay, I've thrown the gauntlet down on you now. You got backed you into a corner.
A&M, if you look at kind of the games they played this season, right? Which, let's remember, one of those was against Missouri. They beat Missouri by 18 in College Station. What did they do in that game? Well, they got to the free throw line, which we said that is like the A&M special. If they get to the free throw line, you give them easy looks, they will make you pay for them. And Missouri gave them, look at the percentages here. A&M goes 63.6% from 2 in that game, 43.5% from 3. A&M's not a great shooting team, but they went 10 of 23. They went 24 of 32 from the free throw line. So about as efficient of an offensive game as you could find for those categories. Now they did turn the ball over quite a bit, which is what Missouri does, right? Like they force turnovers. And so that's something I think you look at. Missouri did not make threes because why? The game was on the road. Missouri, outside the Tennessee game, just seemingly does not make threes on the road. But they, went 7 of 31 from three in that one. So they also got out rebounded, which, shocker, right? Like Missouri just is not a great rebounding team. It is what it is at this point. A&M got a lot of balance in that one. And I think that's where this can get interesting because we talked about why A&M is where they are now. Like they've gotten here because they've turned it up defensively. They rebound very well. They get to the free throw line, but it's also because they've had a lot of different guys sort of step up at different times. And I think that's what you've really liked about this A&M team is there's some different guys that can make the big plays. It doesn't just have to be Tyrese Radford. It can be Wade Taylor, it can be Dexter Dennis. We talked about Julius Marble, what he's done. It's like Henry Coleman kind of feels like I don't want to say an afterthought, but like, remember, he's still a pretty good player and he can still have a huge impact on the game. And I think this is one of those games from a rebounding standpoint that he can have an impact on. So did you appreciate everything I just said about Texas A&M? I want to make sure you appreciate that, Chris. Unmute yourself. You appreciated all that about A&M, right? So I say all that to tell you.
I've got to be honest. I was half listening. I was looking because the Ken Palm page. This, yeah, right. This is the quintessential. Like when you see a lot of green on one side and a lot of red on one side, it gets my attention. If you look at the Ken Palm page for this matchup, it's fascinating.
It is.
Which is probably what you just said while I was digging that up.
No, but I'll say that I did. That way you
I feel bad.
All right. So I say all that to tell you that I apologize to the Missouri fans in advance.
Now you're just delaying. This is delay tactic because you don't know what you're going to say.
That's not true. That's not true at all. I've known from the beginning who I'm picking in this game. You may not have been so sure, but I am very sure of who I'm picking.
I knew.
I say all that to tell you that I'm going to pick Missouri to win this game.
Oh, he did it.
And I apologize to the Missouri fans for doing that. But there are some other factors in play here. This is going to be, which we're being serious here about this part of the equation, but and this was pointed out to me by Karen, who is over at Rock Him Nation. She pointed this out to me on Twitter. I don't remember when it was, Wednesday night maybe, but this is the annual the rally for Ryan game at Mizzou. So if you don't know the backstory, that was Ryan Luce and Brad Luce is still there. Remember, he used to be on the coaching staff. Now I guess he still works there in some capacity, I'm pretty sure. And Missouri fans can correct me if I'm wrong there. But this is the annual game. And as Karen said to me, hey, they don't lose this game. So if the computers tell you that they got a 0.1% chance to win this one, give me that 0.1% chance. And you said this from the start. I think too, it's just Missouri at home. They're a different team than they are on the road. And even against A&M, I'm gonna bank on Missouri hitting an extra shot here or there and finding a way to win this one, even though the first one was not close. That's in College Station. The return game here, I think Missouri will be ready for this one. I think there's motivation at play after getting beat the way they got beat at Auburn. So give me the Tigers in this one, Chris.
Let's be honest. You only made that pick because I called you out.
That is not true at all.
You were going to go the other way out of force of habit. No, I know you.
I was not. I had made my mind up picking Missouri weeks in advance. I was doing my prep work for this video 3 weeks ago. I said I didn't care what happened until that point. I'm picking Missouri against Texas A&M on February the 18th. That's exactly what I said 3 weeks ago. Let me show you my notes. So I had it picked.
What would we do if Dennis Gates left the league? I mean, how much less fun would this be without Dennis Gates?
Well, first of all, you wouldn't have me in the company anymore because I'd be wherever he's at. So,
Right.
I mean, it'll be a lot more fun for some people, perhaps. But I'm just telling you, I'd be in the Big Ten teen or Big Ten 14 or how many
The
teams does Big
what?
Ten have? No, with me,
They
I
don't
have to
even know.
start. We'd have to do the spinoff of Southeastern 14. We'd have to do it with some other conference. So, yeah, there you go. When are we going to hire beat writers just for coaches? Let me know because I'll get on the Dennis Gates beat and just cover him as a coach. How about that?
You like that, Will Healy had his own media guy when he was coaching at Charlotte.
Did he?
Yeah, I can't think of who. It was a guy that had
Interesting.
been, I think at ESPN before. That could
Interesting.
be you.
Oh.
All right. We didn't think this was going to be as interesting a couple weeks ago, but now it's really interesting. The nightcap. Vanderbilt hosts Auburn, 7:30 Central on the SEC Network in our backyard in Nashville. The computers have Auburn as a 4.5-point favorite with Vanderbilt's got a 34% chance to win here. Man, I don't know. There's a gut feeling that says Vanderbilt's won 4 in a row and is playing near the top of its ceiling, and it's due to come back down to earth. But man, and John A. Broome, I mean, this will be, if you like your bigs, watching Liam Robbins and Broome go at it, it's going to be fun. But the last time somebody dropped the big man gauntlet on Liam Robbins was in Gainesville a week ago when Castleton was healthy and Robbins went, 32-10 and 4 blocks or something like that off the top of my head. That was in Gainesville. This one's in Nashville. I don't know. I'm leaning Auburn here, but just the way that Robbins has played and the way that Ezra Magnon's been so good with the ball for Vandy lately, I think this one could be just really, really interesting.
No, it should be because again, it's just we've kind of had the setup for Vanderbilt and the importance of this game and every game the rest of the way and the way they're playing. Yeah, this is a winnable game because, like you said, Robbins is doing his thing, and you got the Robbins versus Broome kind of set up here, and yeah, I mean, it's all of a sudden a very this is a prime time game. Some of the prime time games on Saturdays have just been not great. Like they've been bad matchups, but like this feels like a worthy primetime setup here with these two teams. And I mean Robbins is, I mean, he's the factor here because like I said, Broome's on the other side in this one. And it just makes for a fun matchup because I think rebounding is important. We talked about Auburn, right? What's something Auburn does really well? They get offensive rebounds and they get loose balls. And it's usually because, they've got some long athletic guys in the paint like Broome and, Jalen Williams and guys like that who are just, tipping the ball around, Cardwell, those kind of guys. And it allows them to get, secure the ball elsewhere and kind of put themselves in position to get some extra shots. So I think that's a big part of this here. For Vanderbilt, I think it's just you're going to defend Auburn with the hopes that Auburn takes more jump shots than they do, get to the line. But then, you're putting the ball in Wendell Green's hands, perhaps in that scenario, and he can certainly knock down shots. So yeah, it's a fun setup here. Auburn kind of had its get right game against Missouri, and they look so good there. They responded the way they had to respond. We said it was the biggest game of the season for them. But this is a pretty big game for Auburn too. Like this is a significant for their NCAA tournament resume as well because remember this is still an Auburn team that has to go to Kentucky, Alabama, and play Tennessee at home. So let's say they lose this one, right? And win at Ole Miss, and it's not a real possibility they can lose the last 3. If they go 1-4 to finish the season, then you look at that closing stretch from January 25th to the end of the season. That doesn't look good to the committee. And, you can say you lost to good teams all you want. So I think the fact is why this is so interesting of a setup is like this feels close to must win for both teams. And, maybe it is must win for Vanderbilt. Auburn, it feels pretty close to that, like just based on where they are. So, like, there's a lot at stake here. I think that, man, because it's like if Auburn does not shoot the ball well, they come out, let's just say they shoot the ball poorly, because you look at some of the, I'm trying to see exactly what the numbers have been. I mean, certainly Tennessee game's an extreme, right, where they go 3 of 27 from three on the road. But, A&M, they shot 9 of 24 from three, so that's pretty good, actually. West Virginia, 6 of 19 from three. Other games, they've just struggled to shoot the ball well away from home. And so that, I think, is the game plan for Vanderbilt. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to make it the Tiger trifecta. So if you're looking for a bet on Saturday, the Tiger trifecta of LSU, Missouri, Auburn. I don't think you're going to win that parlay if you go the traditional betting route. I'm going to be honest with you, because I think the chances of all three of those teams winning, as we picked them, the percentages are not very high. But I just am going to give the edge to Auburn here, because it's sort of like the reverse Alabama, right? Where you're like, well, Alabama has to lose at some point. Well, it's sort of like, Vanderbilt, can they really keep this going? Like, can they do this again? Man, they've done it 4 times in a row now, and they've beaten Tennessee, Florida. I don't know. I just think Auburn's the kind of team that, I don't know if I say I trust more in the spot, because remember, this is a team that lost 5 of 6 heading into that Missouri game. But yeah, give me Auburn by a very slight margin. I don't have a better answer than that. I just think it's go with your gut, and I think Auburn maybe makes a couple defensive plays that win the game, but this should be a lot of fun.
I think you're right on that. I'm going to give you a thing on both sides to watch. Auburn is number 342 in the country in three-point shooting. And we have seen Vanderbilt win some games. In fact, Vanderbilt was the first team to hit double-digit threes against Tennessee, including the one on the last play of the game that won that. So that's something to watch. Is a concern if you're Auburn. If you're Vanderbilt, I think that their margin for things going right is pretty thin, and they've been living on that edge. They've been playing at the top of their ceiling, have the Commodores, of late. And if Liam Robbins gets a couple quick fouls, Jerry Stackhouse is from that North Carolina school where he'll sit a guy a lot of times the rest of the half. Auburn's got a lot more front court depth. We talked about Jalen Williams being maybe the most underappreciated player in the league. We've talked about how good Broom's been. That's my concern if I'm Vanderbilt. I feel like the line what am I trying to say? I feel like the needle that Vanderbilt needs to thread here to win this game is a little bit more narrow than Auburn's given depth, and especially on the blocks.
Nothing would surprise me with Vanderbilt at this point.
No, that's the truth.
If they won this game by 10, I wouldn't be shocked. If they lost this game by 10, I wouldn't be shocked. If Vanderbilt won out, I would not be shocked. And I mean that in all seriousness.
If Jerry Stackhouse gets 3 technicals and I guess you can't get 3. Well, you could, and gets kicked out in the first half, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, like
Bruce and Jerry are both get thrown out. I would not I don't know, man. That's a fun setup, because again, I think the crowd will be rocking for this one. Primetime game. Nothing would shock me here in this one. So I don't know if that's good or bad for both teams, but nothing would shock me based on the outcome of this game. So
if Blake woke up with his head sewn to the carpet, that would be less shocking than anything that could happen in this game.
Yeah. Or surprised.
Who wouldn't want that to happen?
What was the quote? Haven't been that surprised. I don't remember the quote. Something about banana in my pants and turning the monkey loose. What's the Christmas Vacation quote from Eddie? What's the setup line? Isn't it? You know what I'm talking about.
Well, the line was when he shows up.
Clark said that.
Clark says, I wouldn't be more surprised. He said, are you surprised I'm here? I wouldn't be more surprised if I woke up with my head
Here
under
it
the
is.
carpet.
Sorry, people are yelling.
I
They
don't
are
remember
yelling.
bananas and monkeys and pants in Christmas Vacation.
People
That's
are
not the version
yelling.
I saw.
They are yelling at the screen right now because we have got it all wrong here. So
You got it all wrong.
I did not get it all wrong. You just took it in the furthest direction, the opposite way.
Oh,
So
come on.
it's Eddie saying I haven't seen a beating like that since somebody stuck a banana in my pants and turned a monkey loose. It's Vegas Vacation, not Christmas
What?
Vacation. Yes,
Okay,
it's
well,
Vegas Vacation.
I
Yeah.
feel like I've got every line of Christmas Vacation
It's Vegas Vacation.
pretty well committed to memory. Okay, well, you can't hold me accountable for that.
So we could have used that for the Alabama Vanderbilt game, but that is not.
I never saw Vegas Vacation. Am I missing?
What? Oh my
I know.
goodness, man! I'm not saying it's the best of the group by any means. Christmas Vacation is number one, but I think Vegas Vacation is underrated. I'll say that. I don't think it's enough love.
Here's my
Better in your
question for you:
opinion.
Does the intensity in Memorial Gym does the volume go to 11?
I don't know.
This is a test. Okay, that means you haven't seen it. You
Seen
haven't
what?
seen Spinal Tap.
I've seen it. It's just been a long time. I've only seen it once.
That's no
So.
excuse.
That's absolutely an excuse. I got SEC basketball to watch.
You're lying, because if you had seen Spinal Tap, you would remember.
I don't remember that.
11.
I've watched it one time. It was probably 15 years ago, and I don't remember.
How can you not remember that?
I'm sorry. I don't. Like, a lot's happened in 15 years. Like, I just don't remember it. I apologize. So, Tiger trifecta.
I'm incredibly disappointed in you.
Tiger trifecta. There you go.
And now my internet's going bad. I think we're talking over each other at this point, so that's probably our cue to end.
Folks, these videos you see, probably the next 3 videos, like, these are all going to be a mess because there is a delay, and we are doing the best we can here, but we're trying to get these videos out for you, but these are not cooperating. The audio's been poor. There's popping noises. We don't know where any of this, like, I don't know. Blame it on somebody.
I know to blame it on. If you are with AT&T and you can help me out, reach out.
Yeah.
Because they put in my neighborhood, they dug up my front yard. They were bringing us the highest of high speeds of internet, and then it just went dark for a year and a half. And now my yard is being dug up again. Allegedly, this is coming. Perhaps not coincidentally, the minute they started digging things up and painting lines on our street and in our yards and on my flower beds over flowers and things like that is when this started happening. So if you are a person with AT&T and can make stuff happen and you like our videos, I need you to jump in because it's affecting what we do here.
Slippery slope we're on with these 3 videos here. So anyways, we appreciate it. Don't unsubscribe. That's the best we can tell you right now. So
in all seriousness, thank you for watching. We have a lot of fun with these. Hope you do too. Best way to catch them all, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you don't mind. If you did like it, that helps us out. Anyway, we're going to try to get to baseball at some point. That may or may not happen. That's our intention. Free time is scarce as we march towards the tournament, and so that's where most of our focus is, but we're going to try to watch a lot of baseball and hopefully preview that too. Anyway, thank you for watching us at Southeastern 14. We'll see you again soon.